Hey, what's up? My name is Jose Duncan Jr., and I would like to welcome you to the Unnatural Born Leader podcast. Hey, what's up? Welcome to episode 43 of the Unnatural Born Leader podcast. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in today. We are officially in April. That means we're down the first quarter of 2021. So much has happened. So much has taken place. So I'm just very grateful to be here, continuing to give my perspective on not only self-improvement, self-development, and leadership. As these things I am passionate about, if these last 42 episodes have not shown you that already. But today I want to get into something that I talk about a lot, something that is very important to me in my development, something that is very paramount, and it's helped me write the book. It's helped me play football. It's helped me transition from football. It's helped me be a successful fitness professional. It's helped me be a successful author and being able to author my first book. It's helped me be better in my relationships with people I love. It's helped me do a lot of things. And I think just financially and career-wise, it's going to help me huge in these areas. And the thing I'm talking about today is self-awareness. Self-awareness is such a broad term, but it's so important that we understand the different areas of it and really knowing what it means, and getting an opportunity to break down how it pertains to us and how does self-awareness actually work, and will it lead to us getting what we want in life, whether it's success financially, socially, emotionally, spiritually. How can self-awareness get us what we want, right? There's no point of practicing something if it's not bringing you the fulfillment that you desire. So today I want to talk about three main ways that self-awareness directly leads to more success, and break down three major components of self-awareness and how our ability to practice them will help us achieve more success in different areas. So let me start by saying that success looks different for a lot of different people. This is something I've expressed prior to this episode, and I think it's important that I express that continuously because everybody's success threshold is a little different. We all have different ambition and expectations for our lives and our happiness. So I would say success to me is this ability to achieve fulfillment. And through that fulfillment, we are recognized by our peers as someone who executed on a particular goal or task over a period of time, right? So I'll say that again. Success to me is this ability to achieve fulfillment and be recognized as someone who executed a particular goal or task over time. And that's personal success. Obviously, we can switch out the be recognized as someone or be recognized as a group or be recognized as a team. That's interchangeable. But success is ultimately that ability to execute on a focused goal or a particular task or a pursuit over a period of time. So if we do it once, we're talented. If we do it twice, we're good at it. If we do it over a period of time, it shows that we are truly successful. So sustainability is definitely part of that for me. And when we're talking about self-awareness, through my research, and I've definitely spent a lot of time researching self-awareness and what it really means. And I came across this author, Dr. Daniel Goleman, who has a great definition of self-awareness, and I'm going to share it with you guys here. Self-awareness, according to Dr. Daniel Goleman, is knowing one's internal state, preferences, resources, and intuitions. I think that's a great way to break it down. Obviously, especially this ability to knowing the internal state. And what that means to me is this ability to just know what the hell is going on with us, right? They do it in medical doctors access to do these type of screenings on our body to know if we are feeling any type of lump or any type of pain in different areas. When we go to the doctor, we're giving talk examinations before anything serious takes place. We're asked, "What are you feeling? How have you been feeling? Do you have a headache? Do you have a fever? Does your foot hurt? What happens when you do different movements?" So on and so forth. And we're asked in that moment to tell someone who is responsible for helping us what our internal states are, right? And as a fitness professional, working with clients, and I've done so many sessions over the last 2.5 years, I would say upwards of 2,000 sessions with clients. I know that I'm always asking my clients about their internal state. It's important that they are able to communicate what they're feeling, what they're not feeling, what they're experiencing, what their stresses are, and what's going on with their bodies. That feedback is huge for me. We don't have x-rays when they walk in the gym. We don't have screenings when they walk in the gym. It may be 2 to 5 minutes of talking and catching up I do with my clients, but even though it's not enough, those few responses they give me are very important. So that ability to know our internal state, it's huge, right? And we're going to get to how this all makes sense as far as pursuing our goals, right? Knowing one's internal state, preferences, resources, and intuitions, right? Preferences, resources, and intuitions. Those are huge, all right? Knowing what we prefer, knowing what's available to us, and certainly trusting what our heart, quote unquote, right, is telling us, I think are all things that incumbent the word self-awareness, right? I truly believe through my experiences, and a lot of this is in my book as well, which is available on Amazon, The Greatest Fight Within, Overcoming Self-Disappointment While Living with High Expectations. A lot of this idea of what self-awareness requires, I spoke about in the book. So I believe that self-awareness only works. It only works if we're able to ask ourselves the difficult questions. And not only ask ourselves the difficult questions, but be willing to do the difficult work, right? So some examples of questions we can ask ourselves are, and this is the first, out of the 3 things I'm talking about today, this is the number one way we're starting to work on it right now. So the questions we can start asking ourselves right away is, where do I think I'm going? Right? Where am I at today and where do I think I'm going? That's a difficult question in nature. Being able to ask ourselves where we are going. What's our projection? What are we trying to accomplish, right? This is a question I ask myself often. When am I at my happiest? And who or what has a role in that, right? It's important that we evaluate when we're at our happiness, right? We're on this earth to seek some form of fulfillment and happiness. So knowing when we're at our happiest are very important things to consider when pursuing any goal, any feat, any task, right? If it doesn't bring us ultimately happiness at the end of it, it will be hard to sustain the effort it takes to achieve it, right? So identifying who or what plays a role in that, it's important. Is those things accessible easily? Those resources that are available, those people that are in your life, how easily can you access them? What role do they play and why? I think those are important questions to ask ourselves, right? What kind of things do you value the most? That's a good one. A few more here is, what am I really ashamed of? What am I embarrassed of? Right? Another one I ask myself all the time is, am I really good at this? Right? Or is this just a fluke, or am I lucky? Am I really good at this? Right? And that's all about evaluating the work you put in and the results you get. Am I really good at this? I've asked myself that series of times as a fitness coach, and being able to be successful in that space, right? Another huge one I think that I need to emphasize here before I move on is, how could I build better relationships, right? Something I've struggled with is knowing what kind of relationship I need to build with people. Some people easier than others, but it takes a lot of time to establish a strong relationship with people, especially if you don't have a lot of things you agree with right away. It can take some time to find a common ground. And how does all these things make me successful? How does me working on all these things and ask myself these difficult questions make me successful? And I think that's the last true question when it comes to self-awareness, and actually put things in motion, right? So the true number one way of using self-awareness to directly achieve any success is identifying your strengths quickly. I think it's important that we be honest about what we're innately good at, and what we are innately need help with. It's taken me some time to know that and actually ask for help, but I've known for some time what my strengths may be, just because my upbringing exposed me to different things that brought out those strengths and weaknesses, you can say, right? So self-awareness allows us to identify our strengths quickly, right? How is that important when we're achieving a task or going after a task, right? So if I'm not able to identify what I'm good at or what my strengths are quickly, or what I'm bringing to the table or what value I add, it's going to be very hard for me to produce value that's going to turn my work or my efforts into an asset, right? How can I be an asset to my own business, this relationship, this company, this job? How can I be important? What separates me? What makes me unique? What value I bring that can help me have some type of security in this pursuit, right? Why am I important to the success of this organization, company, or thing I'm doing, right? How does my strengths directly relate to how successful I'm going to be at this, right? Whether it's just building a social following, if that's something that you're pursuing, or building a career, a role, in anything that you're involved in. So how does my strengths and the things that I may need help with matter here? That's important, right? Evaluate where you're efficient and where you may need help. I think that's a key point of self-awareness. And it's going to make you more successful over the long run, because you have this clarity, right? This clarity of who you are and what you bring. And if you don't know what you bring, it's going to be hard to ask for more money. It's going to be hard to charge more for your time, more for your products, or more for your services if you don't have an understanding of who you are and what your value is to a job, to an organization, or to whatever marketplace you're selling your services or goods to. This I truly believe, and I think it's important to identify those strengths and weaknesses as quickly as you can, right? The second most important way to use self-awareness to achieve success is to use self-awareness to help you regulate. Not only regulate, but self-regulate, right? Self-regulating our behaviors. And this is also something I talked about in chapter 3, communication. This ability to regulate how we respond to not only people, circumstances, and changes that we encounter every day. Our response is so important because that's how the next steps will be taken. And especially as a leader, as someone who people look up to you or looking for you for answers or guidance or any type of help, your response to situations or difficult matters matters because someone is watching you and expecting you to make the right decision. So it's important that you take heed of those decisions and hopefully make the right one and do your best with that. So self-regulation is this ability to control the responses to life and work as they change, right? The only thing constant in life is change. We've all know that, and as much as we don't like it, we have to respect that from a personal and a career level as well. So sometimes I find that even with the work that I do, there's a lot of things I won't like that coming from higher ups, whether it's leaders in an organization, sometimes for people, their parents, their followers, they may not like the feedback or the input that's coming out. All right. Self-awareness helps us decide, is this a time to say a lot or is this a time to say less? Right. Knowing when to speak up or say nothing at all is a hard balance. All right. And learning that balance comes with time and, of course, practice. We need reps. We need self-regulating reps. We need to be put in uncomfortable situations where we decide either to speak or not speak. And we need to be wrong in both instances, right? We need to speak when we didn't need to speak, and we need to be quiet when we needed to speak. We need to experience reacting to both things and what it feels like and what was the aftermath or the reaction of others when we made that choice, right? That self-regulating choice is important because if we don't experience that, we will never learn the balance of when to allow others to take the floor, when to allow others to lead, or when to step up and lead or add our input because we think it's vital and important, right? In this day and age, it's very difficult to know when to speak and know when to be quiet. Sometimes we feel our silence is saying that we don't care, but rather our silence is important if we don't have something constructive to say. And sometimes we just need to say something. It doesn't have to be completely thought out or constructive, but we need to be able to allow that vulnerability to hang out sometimes. So knowing when to self-regulate will lead to more success because you will know when to speak up for yourself or when to not allow things to affect you so much, right? And the simple decision is not simple at all. And I think as we practice regulating our behaviors, checking in with ourselves, we're able to attract more success, attract more great energy, because it allows us to be in a space where we're more patient and we're more deliberate with our responses. Something I learned playing football that has stuck with me for a very long time is this ability to filter out the BS and receive the message. And I think the great way to do this is to use self-regulation. How can I self-regulate my emotions in this moment to filter out the yelling, the screaming, the lack of communication, the misunderstanding? How can I filter all of that out and really get a true grasp of what the message is? It can be difficult. We all struggle with it. I know I struggle with it sometimes because not everyone will have the level of empathy as you do. And sometimes things come out in ways where it's misunderstood or communicated, and we must be able to filter, like literally separate the stuff that doesn't matter and receive the message, because the message is what we need. The message is what's going to allow us to take the next steps. If we receive the message more oftentimes than actually allowing the BS to get to us and affect us, we're able to be more sustainable and more successful over time with that message, right? I hope that made sense of just filtering out the BS and receiving the message. It's a great lesson I learned playing football and always being told what to do or where to be and being yelled at by coaches and things and such. Our ability to not let those things bother us, but still go out there and perform each week was very important. The last component of self-awareness that directly leads to success is a very, very important one. And I want to tell you that before I go into it. When we're talking about success financially now, this is something I'm learning. I continue to say I'm learning it because I'm on this journey with you guys. So this is something I'm learning from working with different people who have been successful in different areas, right? A lot of it is my clients, people that I know, friends who have achieved success in different areas of their lives, been able to find fulfillment in various career opportunities, is our ability to be better networkers, right? Self-awareness helps us network a lot better. Before we can identify the kind of energy we need, the kind of aura that's necessary to have around us to grow, we must first have a very basic understanding of the energy we bring, right? Networking is a two-way street. If I'm building a connection with you, there's some value exchange. It doesn't need to be overly transactional, but there is a value exchange that will eventually show. It will eventually come to light. That value exchange will eventually make sense for both parties. It doesn't need to be an exponential amount of value on both ends, but there needs to be somewhat of a value exchange. And I find this is great when I'm talking business with clients, or clients are paying me for business. Even though there's a direct transaction, I think one thing that makes me successful as a coach is being able to remove that not remove the transaction, but obviously accept the transaction, put it aside, and now through that transaction, I'm going to work on building a better relationship with this client. It will not be transactional after the transaction is done. At this point, I want to network. I want to see where I can add value to your life beyond that transaction, whether it's with the services I provide, the advice I give, or the time we spend with each other. There has to be a value exchange that's deeper than the transaction. And that is networking, right? Are you able to build connections with people or not? We all know that connections are likely the tool that creates the most abundance in all phases of our lives, right? How many times have we referred a friend to someone? How many times have we connected with someone who was able to give someone we knew an opportunity or give us an opportunity? How many times have we recommended a friend to someone, or just been able to grow money with a friend, or get a business idea and pass it by our friends, or bring our friends in on making money, or just any connection we build through our network is huge. I live in New York City, and there are dozens of people with various interests, various things that they're into, things that they're passionate about, things that they're excited to speak about. And a lot of the times I'm meeting people who have completely different viewpoints on things than I do, are interested in things I've never thought I'd be interested in. And we're able to connect because we're both curious about each other in that experience. And I learned something that I didn't know before. And not learn it like go on Google and research it, but learn it to a point where it's exciting to understand, and it makes me more curious because this person is speaking about it in such a passionate way that I can connect with it more, right? It's difficult to connect with information we get online. But when someone's giving us that information and their energy is speaking that information, they're passionate about speaking it, that connection allows us to learn that matter better. We're able to consume more of that information and possibly make use of it or take interest in it and make a bigger connection out of that, right? So connections are the lifeline to creating abundance. And when I'm talking about abundance, I mean financially, relationships, anything that allows us to grow what we already have happens with networking and connections. We need to know who we are and what is going on with us. What is our internal state, right? When we're connecting with someone, what is it that we can provide for them, right? It doesn't need to be grandiose, but what can we provide for them, right? We're not going to know unless we know ourselves. And that's important. And that's why I emphasize that self-awareness will lead to better success if we're able to use self-awareness to network at a very, very high level. And it's a practice like anything else. And I think as that grows and our network grows, we will understand exactly what it means to understand ourselves and understand others better. We all know the term takes one to know one. When I see someone else have great leadership qualities, I see someone else have great leadership energy. They speak, their aura, their just sheer light is attractive because I'm able to see those things in myself. Is how I identify those things in others so quickly, right? It's easier to identify someone who's interested in anime if you're interested in anime, right? It's easy to identify some of the market, the trends, the fashion, right? It's easy to identify someone who's really into fashion if you're really into fashion, right? Your energy is just going to speak. You're going to know about things that the average person don't know. So it's just all about being in those worlds and being able to connect within those worlds. No doubt we are all unique beings. There's no doubt. But it doesn't mean that we are the only ones who share that spirit and that ambition around a subject matter or around a topic or a field of interest. So self-awareness when networking is so important, and that's what I think is the last pillar of creating success that's sustainable. And once again, success for me as where I stand today, success for me is this ability to be recognized as someone, right, who achieved fulfillment and executed on a particular goal or task over a period of time. And I truly believe that not only our ability to identify our strengths and weaknesses, self-regulate, and use self-awareness to create true, strong connections is the key to being successful. So that's all I want to say about the subject matter. I really hope you guys got something out of this episode. I know I went on and it got a little wordy, but I really appreciate you guys tuning in each week. And I really hope that there's something in this episode you connect with and you can take away and start using in your life, right? Self-awareness is so important. And if you want to know more about self-awareness, if you want to read more about how I break it down with not only my life and my upbringing and how I translate those things into a message, go ahead and download my book on Amazon. It's available on Amazon, The Greatest Fight Within, and it's definitely something that will provide a little bit more context as to who I am and how I interpret these things and what the perspective is on it. So Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Unnatural Born Leader podcast. Once again, I'm excited to be in April. Excited to what the second quarter of 2021 has to offer. And excited to continue to grow the podcast and continue to share my perspective. So if you've been liking the podcast, please continue to review down below. Don't care how many stars it is. Just if you like the podcast, if you want to give me some feedback, please continue to review the podcast and share it with those who you think may need it or benefit from listening to my perspective. So can't wait to be recording again, and I'm excited to continue to come on here and share my experience as a leader and as someone who's self-developing like everyone else. So until we speak again, guys, positivity is contagious and attitude is everything.